Hi students, how are you? Welcome to our beautiful channel Chem High. So in this video we are going to learn next very important concept, that is the colligative properties from solutions. Okay, so very important one. What are colligative properties? How to calculate the colligative properties and what is the importance of this colligative properties and abnormal molecular mass. Okay, so first we are going to learn colligative properties. What are these colligative properties? Properties which depends on number of solute particles in solution. Solute we are adding to solvent, that is only solution. Solute plus solvent mixture is a solution. So here properties, some properties that depends on how much solute we are adding, concentration of solute, nothing but a number of particles of solute, not depends on nature of the solute. Nature of solute means we are adding sulfate or we are adding nitrate or chloride. This no need to see, just what we have to see, how many particles are there. So properties which depends on number of solute particles, not on nature of the particles, those properties are colligative properties. So which depends on number of solute particles. Solute particles, nothing but depends on concentration, only depends on concentration, not depends on nature of the solute. Those properties are colligative properties. So what are the major colligative properties? What are the main colligative properties here? So just 4 colligative properties are there. First one is a relative lowering of vapor pressure. Relative lowering of vapor pressure. Anyhow, already we learned this. What is this relative lowering of vapor pressure? Vapor pressure, lowering of vapor pressure. Okay, and based on this Raoult's law also we practiced. Second one is osmotic pressure. This is osmotic pressure. And third one is elevation in boiling point. Elevation in boiling point. Elevation, nothing but boiling point increases. How much increased? That is only elevation in boiling point. And fourth one is depression in freezing point. How much freezing point decreased? How much boiling point increased? What is the osmotic pressure? And how much vapor pressure changed? That is lowered. How much vapor pressure decreased? And what is that osmotic pressure? How much boiling point increased? How much freezing point decreased? So increase in boiling point or decrease in freezing point or decrease in vapor pressure or osmotic pressure. Osmotic pressure. These are colligative properties. So the following are colligative properties given. Only these 4 options we should mark. So which are colligative properties? Properties which depends on number of solute particles, not on nature of the solute. Okay. So what are the major colligative properties? Relative lowering of vapor pressure, osmotic pressure, elevation in boiling point, depression in freezing point. Okay, so this already we learned. Anyhow, once again come to this one, relative lowering of vapor pressure. What is this vapor pressure? If vapor and liquid are in equilibrium state in closed container, vapor exerts some pressure on liquid surface. So the pressure exerted by vapor molecules on its liquid surface at equilibrium stage at constant temperature. Yes or no? In closed container, one solution is there. For example, it is a pure solvent. Anyhow, we discuss this one in closed container. This is a closed container, and here one pure solvent is taken. One component is taken. That is the component is A. For example, now we are taking this is a solvent. It changes to vapor. It is a volatile. Changes to vapor. Now this vapor exerts some pressure on this its liquid surface. So the pressure exerted by vapor molecules on its liquid surface at equilibrium stage and at constant temperature. That pressure is a vapor pressure. If any non-volatile solute is added, non-volatile solute is added to that, then what happens if any non-volatile solute is added? On the surface, some of the particles, solvent particles are replaced by solute particles. So number of these solute particles are non-volatile, not changes to vapor. So number of solvent particles changes to vapor reduces. Because of that, what happens? The pressure exerted by the solution decreased. So if any non-volatile solute is added, now it is a solution. In this solution, the pressure exerted decreased. Okay. So if any solute is added, pressure decreased. The decrease in pressure, vapor pressure is a lowering of vapor pressure. Now we are taking, for example, vapor pressure of pure solvent P0 and vapor pressure of this solution PS. something decreased. How much decreased? That is a lowering of vapor pressure. How much decreased? That is lowering of vapor pressure. And we are taking ratio of this lowering of vapor pressure to vapor pressure of pure solvent. Now it is the relative lowering of vapor pressure. So this is relative lowering of vapor pressure. How much decreased? That is a colligative property. So P naught minus Ps by P naught is a relative lowering of vapor pressure. Now this relative lowering of vapor pressure is a colligative property. So here it depends on number of solute. But how to decide it is colligative properties? If you are adding more number of non-volatile solutes, then vapor pressure more decreases. Decreases or not? So little non-volatile solute is added, less decrease in vapor pressure. More non-volatile solute is added, more decrease in vapor pressure. Nothing but the decrease in vapor pressure increases with an increase in concentration of that solute or number of solute particles. Yes or no? Decrease in vapor pressure, that depends on number of solute particles. Nothing but it is a colligative property. It is directly proportional to number of solute particles or inversely proportional. What happened here? If little amount of solute is added, less reducing vapor pressure. More number of solute particles are added, more lowering of vapor pressure. So number of vapor particles increases, lowering of vapor pressure also increased. Yes or no? More lowering of vapor pressure. So now this relative lowering of vapor pressure is a colligative property. It is directly proportional to number of particles or inversely proportional number of particles. As the number of particles increases, more lowering of vapor pressure. Nothing but directly proportional to number of particles. Directly proportional to number of particles. Anyhow, here what is the expression for this P naught minus Ps by P naught according to Raoult's law? It is equal to Xc. Xc means what we are taking? Na by Nb. Because that is applicable for very dilute solutions, and Xc is equal to Na by Nb. Na by Nb means what we are taking here? P naught minus Ps by P naught is equal to mass of solute by gram molecular mass of solute into by mass of solvent by gram molecular mass of solvent. So that we can write like this. Gram molecular mass of solvent by mass of solvent. Yes or no? So P naught minus Ps by P naught is equal to, and we learn molality relation also. What is that molality relation? P naught minus Ps by P naught is equal to, instead of this we substituted molality by 1000. Yes or no? Into gram molecular mass of solvent. Okay. So now here come to this formula. P naught minus Ps by P naught is equal to Wa, mass of solute by gram molecular mass of solute into gram molecular mass of solvent by mass of solvent. Okay. Now, what is the importance of this colligative property? See this. One non-volatile solute is added. Its vapor pressure reduced. What is that non-volatile solute? What we added? How to identify? One non-volatile solute is added. We don't know what is that. How to identify? If we know the molecular mass of that non-volatile solute, we can say what is that solute. Okay. Nothing but here one unknown solute is added. Its molecular mass we calculated, then we can identify what is the solute. Anyhow, what is the vapor pressure of pure solvent we know. After adding up the solute, how much reduced, that we can identify. Then from this we can calculate the gram molecular mass of that unknown solute. So what is that solute we can identify. To identify that solute, actual for example here NaCl given. What is the gram molecular mass of this one? Given sodium 23 plus chlorine 35.5, add these two, then we can find the gram molecular mass. But here what we added, we don't know. One A added. What is that A? Identified given. Now how to identify? First take the P naught value. First we have to identify the vapor pressure of solvent. Then vapor pressure of solution. What is that lowering of vapor pressure? This ratio we are taking. It is equal to mass by gram molecular mass into gram molecular mass of solvent by mass of solvent. We know anyhow what is that solvent. Unknown solute. This unknown solute molecular mass. Using this formula if you calculate it, you can say it is a, what is that given solvent. For example, we are getting here 58.5. Then answer is a NaCl. That given solvent is solute is a NaCl. So what is the importance of this one? Used to calculate gram molecular mass. So this is used to calculate the gram molecular mass of unknown solute. So how to calculate the gram molecular mass? Now what is the formula? calculation of gram molecular mass. P naught, GMW. Gram molecular mass of solute is equal to, then shift the remaining that side, WA into GMWB by WB into P naught by P naught minus PS. Nothing but it is the RLVP. Then this is the formula used to calculate a gram molecular mass. So what is the importance of these colligative properties? All these colligative properties we are using to calculate the molecular mass of unknown solutes. Nothing but molecular mass of many salts we are going to calculate using these colligative properties. How to calculate using RLVP? Using this formula we can calculate. Okay, this is relative lowering of vapor pressure. So colligative properties means properties which depends on number of solute particles, nothing but concentration, not depends on nature of the solution. Okay, nature of the solute what we added, those properties are called colligative properties. So what are the colligative properties here? Relative lowering of vapor pressure, osmotic pressure, elevation in boiling point, depression in freezing point. Okay, and next first one is the relative lowering of vapor pressure. What is that vapor pressure? If any solute pure solvent we are taking, in that pure solvent it that is the volatile, it changes to vapor at equilibrium stage. If it is closed container, then that vapor exerts some pressure on liquid surface. So the pressure exerted by vapor on its liquid surface is a vapor pressure. If any non-volatile solute is added, then its vapor pressure decreases. That decrease in vapor pressure is called lowering of vapor pressure. That is represented by P naught minus PS. Ratio we are taking, that is a relative lowering of vapor pressure. Okay, this is a relative lowering of vapor pressure. Now, number of solute particles increases, more lowering of vapor pressure takes place. More lowering of vapor pressure takes place. Nothing but this lowering of vapor pressure is directly proportional to number of solute particles. Now this is a colligative property. This colligative property is directly proportional to number of solute. All colligative properties directly proportional to number of solute particles. So anyhow, according to Raoult's, the formula is P naught minus PS by P naught. Nothing but what is the importance of this RLVP? Why we should practice this one? So P naught minus PS by P naught is equal to XA. From that we are getting this formula. Here if the solute is unknown, its molecular mass we can calculate. How to calculate that molecular mass? Gram molecular mass is equal to WA into GMWB by WB into relative lowering of vapor. 1 by relative lowering of vapor pressure, because P naught minus PS by P naught, not P naught by P naught minus PS. Okay, this is a calculation of gram molecular. How to calculate? Not problem, sir. How to calculate the gram molecular mass using relative lowering of vapor pressure. Okay, so next one is osmotic pressure. Second one, osmotic pressure. What is this osmosis and what is this osmotic pressure? How to calculate the gram molecular mass using this osmotic pressure? Anyhow, relative lowering of vapor pressure, that is equal to mole fraction of the solute. Okay, osmotic pressure. What is this osmotic pressure? So what is this osmotic pressure? Before that, what is osmosis? So now here, in this pure solvent is taken, nothing but water is there. Okay, pure water, and here one solution. Okay, nothing but something solute is added to this solvent, the water. Here pure solvent is there, here solution is there. These two are separated by one semi-permeable membrane. Semi means not full. Semi-permeable, that allows some, not all. Semi-permeable membrane. So now it allows what? It allows solvent through it, but not solute particles. So here we are using one semi-permeable membrane. Semi-permeable means it allows, permits something only, not everything. So what is the something here? Solvent. So now this membrane allows only solvent to pass through it. So through this one, only solvent can flow. For example, here solvent is there. This solvent can flow from here to here through this membrane. Or here we are using solution. From from this solution, this solvent can move from here to here, but not solute particles. That membrane is a semi-permeable membrane. So which one can access semi-permeable membrane? What is the natural semi-permeable membrane? Cell wall that acts as semi-permeable membrane. Pig's gallbladder, that is also semi-permeable membrane. Otherwise, the egg white upper layer, that layer is also semi-permeable membrane. So these are parchment membrane. These are natural semi-permeable membrane. And artificial semi-permeable membrane, Cu2FeCN6. Copper ferrocyanide. This is artificial semi-permeable membrane. Otherwise, we can use the Cn3PO4. This is also semi-permeable membrane. Or Ni. Cn3PO4 taken twice. Calcium phosphate no. Cn3PO4 taken twice. Or NiSiO3 calcium nickel silicate. Or FeSiO3. This also acts as a semi-permeable membrane. Like this, these are artificial semi-permeable membranes. So natural semi-permeable membrane, artificial semi-permeable membrane. This is very important one. Cu2FeCN taken 6. Copper ferrocyanide or calcium phosphate or nickel silicate, iron silicate. These are acts as a semi-permeable membrane. Or cellulose acetate also we can use as semi-permeable membrane. So natural semi-permeable membrane, Pig's gallbladder and cell wall or cell membrane. Otherwise that egg white layer, naturals, and cellophane and parchment membrane. These are natural semi-permeable membranes, and these are artificial semi-permeable membrane. Anyhow, semi-permeable membrane that allows only solvent to flow through it, but not the solute particles. Okay, that is semi-permeable membrane. Now in this we got two parts. Middle we are using semi-permeable membrane. Now it allows only solvent. Now the solvent flow from here to here or here to here. Where to where takes place. So what is this osmosis? Osmosis. Flow of solvents from low concentration region to high concentration region. For example, plants. We poured water here. Then this water through this cell wall that acts as semi-permeable. Water flows from this. So flows to different all parts of this plant. Now this is a plant. So flows to that all parts of the plant. Now what happens? Water we added dilute solution. This dilute in this cell's concentration more. Nothing but that considers concentrated solution. So water not coming out from this plants to outside. Water enters inside. What happens here? Water flows from dilute solution to concentrated solution. So the flow of water from dilute solution or flow of solvent from dilute solution to concentrated solution through semi-permeable membrane, that is called osmosis. So in this osmosis only flow of solvent takes place. That solvent also from dilute to concentrated takes place. Here only water, nothing but it is a very dilute, and here some solute is we added, nothing but it is a concentrated. What happens? Here to here takes place, not there to here. So flow of solvent from dilute to concentrated. After some time here level increases. Okay, so flow of solvent from dilute solution to concentrated solution through semi-permeable membrane. That flow of solvent is called osmosis. Flowering, that is also flowers, water enters into that, then flowering takes place. That is also based on osmosis only. Okay. Now this is osmosis. What is this? Endosmosis, exosmosis. Two types are there. Exosmosis, endosmosis. What is this exosmosis? Exo, endo. Exo means releasing, endo taking, absorbing. So exosmosis means outward flow of solvent. Outward flow of solvent. For example, mango pieces. This is the mango piece. Mango pieces are placed in a salt. Mango pieces are placed in salt. Now salt, more salt we are taking. Nothing but outside is concentrated. Okay, that mango piece is a dilute. Now we are considering One mango piece is placed in more salt. That's why for preparing pickles, more salt we have to add. Preparation of pickles, more salt we should add. Why more salt? What happens? Here mango in that water is present, no. So it is taken as dilute, and outside more salt we added. Nothing but that is a concentrated. Now what happens? Cell wall that acts as a semi-permeable membrane. Now complete water flow from dilute to concentrated. That's why after freshly cut that mango piece, that mango piece is large in size. But in pickles, after some days, its size decreases. Why its size decreases? Flow of water from that mango piece to outside takes place. Nothing but it loses water. Now it is outward flow or inward flow? Outward flow of solvent. So this outward flow of solvent is called exosmosis. So if mango pieces are stored in salt, then pieces size decreases, shrinks. Why this shrinks? Loses water. That process is exosmosis. So because of exosmosis shrinks. That process is plasmolysis or crenation. In biology you are using this one, no? Plasmolysis or crenation. Losing, shrinks is called plasmolysis. So because of exosmosis, plasmolysis takes place. Plasmolysis means outward flow of solvent takes place, then the given cell shrinks. Okay. Endosmosis. What is this endosmosis? Endosmosis means inward flow of solvent. For example, grapes. Before eating grapes, definitely we have to wash the grapes in excess water with little amount of salt, because many pesticides also they will use. So in that water we have to add little amount of salt. Little salt, not more salt like pickles preparation. Okay, just 1 spoon salt we have to add much water. Then in that we have to dip these grapes. Okay. Now what happens? To clean the grapes we are using. Now after some time, if you keep the grapes as it is, the rupture of the cell wall takes place. On the grape cracks like this we can observe. Rupture of the cell wall takes place. What is the meaning for this rupture? What is the reason for this rupture of a cell wall? What happens here? Grapes. To clean grapes we are using plenty of water. In that 1 spoon salt also we are adding. Otherwise leave that salt. Water. In that grapes we placed. Now these grapes are sweet. Okay. Now these are concentrated. So grape is a concentrated solution. Then it is placed in water. Now that is a dilute solution. Grapes concentrated solution, and what we added water, that is a dilute solution. Now what happens? Cell wall. Grapes cell wall. That cell wall acts as a semi-permeable membrane. Now inward flow or outward flow? Outside water dilute solution, then this grapes concentrated solution. Okay, grapes concentrated solution. Osmosis, flow of solvent from dilute to concentrated. Complete water that enters inside. If water enters inside, swelling takes place. Because of swelling only, rupture of the cell walls. Nothing but rupture of this upper layer. Okay, so enters inside. Now what happened? Inward flow. That inward flow is called endosmosis. Outward flow is called exosmosis. Inward flow is called endosmosis. So if mango pieces are placed in salt, more salt, then shrinks. That is called plasmolysis. What happened here? Exosmosis. Outward flow. Why outward flow? Mango pieces concentrated, dilute, and outside only salt is there. That's why that is a concentrated. Mango pieces dilute and salt concentrated. Flow of solvent from dilute to concentrate takes place. So shrinks. That is a plasmolysis. Then grapes to clean placed in water. Now swells and rupture of the upper layer also takes place. What happened here? Now grapes concentrated. Outside water is dilute. Then flow of water from the dilute to concentrate takes place. Then the process is endosmosis. Okay, endosmosis. Now swelling. This is shrinks. Now here swelling. This is a hemolysis. That is plasmolysis. Plasmolysis, hemolysis. Hemolysis because of endosmosis. Plasmolysis because of exosmosis. Okay. Now this is osmosis, exosmosis, endosmosis. What is osmosis? Osmosis, a flow of solvent from dilute solution to concentrated solution through semi-permeable membrane. What is exosmosis? Outward flow of the solvent from the cells. Endosmosis, inward flow of the solvent into the cells. Okay, that is the endosmosis. Exosmosis leads to plasmolysis. Endosmosis leads to hemolysis. That is the shrinks and here swells. Okay, next come to this osmotic pressure. What is this osmotic pressure? So here flow of solvent like this. On this we apply pressure. The pressure applied on solution to prevent this osmosis. So the external pressure applied on solution to prevent osmosis, that is flow of solvent between two solutions through the semi-permeable membrane. That pressure is a osmotic pressure. So to stop this osmosis, we are applying some pressure. The pressure exerts on the solution to prevent the osmosis through the semi-permeable membrane. That pressure is a osmotic pressure. Very simple. Osmosis takes place on this solution. Just apply some pressure. Now this flow of solvent stops. So the nothing but osmosis stopped. So the pressure exert on solution to stop this osmosis. That pressure is a osmotic pressure. Now it is represented by pipe. Represented by pipe. Okay, two sides of solutions are there. One side we are applying nothing but dilute to concentrate takes place. On that concentrate we applied pressure. Definitely on that only we have to apply because here to here flow. Then on this we should apply. That pressure is a osmotic pressure. Now this osmotic pressure is also colligative property. Just it is just like a normal ideal gas pressure P. PV is equal to nRT. P is equal to N by V RT. Instead of P, here we are using osmotic pressure pi. Pi is equal to N by V RT. Okay. Pi is equal to N by V RT. N by V means what is this one? If volume in liters, number of moles by volume is the molarity. Nothing but mRT. Yes or no? Pi is equal to mRT. Pi is nothing but concentration. No, this molarity. Molarity is nothing but concentration term. So pi is equal to CRT. Nothing but it depends on concentration. So concentration, osmotic pressure depends on concentration, not depends on nature of the solute. Nothing but this osmotic pressure is a colligative property. So what is the expression for this osmotic pressure? Pi is equal to N by V RT, or pi is equal to mRT, or simply pi is equal to CRT. This is the osmotic pressure. If two solutions have same osmotic pressure, pi 1 is equal to pi 2. Same osmotic pressure. Then calculate the molecular mass, gram molecular mass of unknown. They will ask. Nothing but one is known, another is unknown. So if these two are equal, N1 by V1 is equal to N2 by V2. We can take nothing but one solution N1 V1, another solution N1 V1. Otherwise here, instead of this we can take C1 equal to C2. Osmotic pressures are similar, concentrations are also similar. Number of moles means mass by gram molecular mass. Volume is constant, for example. Then volume is constant. Mass by gram molecular mass of one equal to mass by gram molecular mass of another one. So here, based on osmotic pressure, two solutions have same osmotic pressure. One solution is urea, another solution one solution is urea solution. In another solution, one non-volatile solute is added. What is that solute? We don't know. Find the molecular mass of that solute. Given, then this formula we should apply. What is that? Two solutions have same osmotic pressure. One is a urea solution. We know the molecular mass. Another solution is unknown. Find the molecular mass of that unknown. That time use this formula. Mass by gram molecular mass of one is equal to mass by gram molecular mass of another. Because both are having same osmotic pressure. Same osmotic pressure given, this is equal, then this also equal. Anyhow, what is the formula to find this osmotic pressure? Pi is equal to mRT. M means there is a molarity. In relative lowering of vapor pressure, what we are using? Mole fraction. In osmotic pressure, molarity. It's just similar to the normal pressure. Instead of pressure, we are using osmotic pressure. Okay. Otherwise, pi is equal to HdG. This also we can use now. Yes or no? Instead of P, we are taking pi. Okay, if height density given, then this formula we have to apply. Like that they want us like this only. So it is the osmotic pressure. Now if two solutions have same osmotic pressure, then that solution is a isotonic solution. If two solutions have same osmotic pressure, they are isotonic. So here three types: hypertonic, hypotonic, isotonic. Okay, hypertonic means its osmotic pressure is more. Hypotonic means less osmotic pressure. Here more osmotic pressure. Hypotonic means less osmotic pressure. Isotonic means two solutions have same osmotic pressure. Okay, two solutions. It is isotonic with that solution. Nothing but this osmotic pressure, that osmotic pressure similar. It is hypertonic with that solution. Given its osmotic pressure is more. It is hypotonic than that solution. Given its osmotic pressure is lesser. So hypertonic more osmotic pressure, hypotonic less osmotic pressure, and isotonic same osmotic pressure. Now these are three types of solutions. Now two solutions. Semi-permeable. Here it is a hypertonic solution. This is hypotonic solution. It's a vapor osmotic pressure is a more. Osmotic pressure more means concentration. Osmotic pressure is directly proportional to concentration because it is a colligative property. Its concentration is a more. This is more concentrated solution. Hypotonic. Nothing but its concentration is a osmotic pressure is less. Osmotic pressure less means its concentration is a less. So less concentration. Now the question is flow of a hypertonic solution, hypotonic solution, both are separated by semi-permeable membrane. Now flow of solvent takes place from hypertonic to hypotonic, hypotonic to hypertonic, or no flow of solvent. Like this options given. Then what is the answer? Hypertonic means there is a high concentrated solution. Hypotonic low concentration. Flow of solvent always takes place from less concentration to more concentration through semi-permeable membrane. Yes or no? Nothing but now flow of solvent from hypo to hyper. So how to answer this question? Flow of solvent from hypo to hyper. How? That is a less concentration, it is a more concentrated solution. So always flow of solvent takes place from hypotonic solution to hypertonic solution. Okay. If given is isotonic, both have same osmotic pressure. Same osmotic pressure. Nothing but same concentration. This is an isotonic solution. Same concentration. Now flow of solvent from here to there, not there to here. No flow of solvent, no osmosis. So where no osmosis? If given mixture is isotonic. In isotonic solutions are separated by semi-permeable membrane. There is no osmosis. Okay, there is no osmosis. For example, here we are taking blood. Okay, blood, and other side saline water. Okay, that is nothing but 0.91% NaCl solution, saline. So one side blood, another side saline, and this is a semi-permeable membrane. Like this, no need to take. Just saline entered into the blood cells through the nerves. Okay, blood cells. Then what happens? Now here saline 0.91%. It is isotonic with blood. Saline is isotonic with the blood. In one side beaker we are taking blood, another side we are taking saline. Both are separated by semi-permeable membrane. Okay. Now this is isotonic with blood. Isotonic with blood. Nothing but if it is injected, now this saline enters into the saline means that's a NaCl solution. Water is there. If it is dilute, this one flow of solvent from here to here takes place. Blood cells swells. Nothing but rupture of blood cells takes place. If it is low concentrated like this, if its concentration is more than blood, if saline concentration is less than blood, then what happens? It is dilute, it is concentrated. Dilute to concentrated flow of solvent only takes place. What is the solvent? 0.91% NaCl solution means water is there. NaCl is solute, water is a solvent. Then water enters into blood cells. If water enters into blood cells, swelling of blood cells takes place. Then rupture of blood cells takes place. Okay, rupture of blood cells. If it is highly concentrated than this blood, Then what happens? Flow of water from these blood cells to saline takes place. Complete blood cells comes out from that blood cells, from that water comes out. If water loses from these blood cells, then shrinks, blood cells shrinks. Here swelling of blood cells. If saline concentration is less, if saline concentration is more, then blood cells shrinks. What happens here? Exosmosis. Here what happens? Endosmosis. Now saline concentration exact 0.91% NaCl only we should use. Why? This concentration we are taking is, it is isotonic with blood. Isotonic with blood. Now water enters inside the blood or water comes out from blood? No osmosis, because both have same concentration. That's why saline, any water we can't insert, just saline water. Nothing but saline we can prepare in home or not. Just water we have to take, to that NaCl we are adding. That is only saline. That direct we can inject. Yes or no? That is not possible. Why it is not possible? That concentration exact we have to maintain. Otherwise what happens? If concentration is less, swelling. If concentration is more, shrinks. So now exact concentration is required. This concentrated saline only isotonic with blood. If this one injected, no shrinkage and no, the blood cells not swells. Nothing happens here. So no endosmosis, no exosmosis. So blood is isotonic with saline water. If saline water injected, what happens? So endosmosis takes place or exosmosis takes place. So answer is no osmosis. Why no osmosis? Both are isotonic solutions. Both are isotonic solutions. Okay. So this is a endosmosis, exosmosis, hypertonic solution, hypotonic solution, and isotonic solution. And what is the expression for that? Osmotic pressure. What is the expression for that? Osmotic pressure. Now, this is a colligative property. What is the importance of this one? Why we should learn this osmotic pressure? Using this also we can find the gram molecular mass of unknown solute. How to find the gram molecular mass? Pi is equal to mRT. M is molarity. Molarity formula, mass by gram molecular mass of solute into 1000 by V, volume in ml. If it is liter, 1 by V. Okay, this is molarity into mRT. Yes or no? So here how to find this gram molecular mass? Gram molecular mass of solute is equal to Wa into 1000 by V into RT by pi. Yes or no? So if we find this osmotic pressure, we can calculate the molecular mass. So osmotic pressure is also used to calculate the molecular mass of unknown solute. Okay, this is about the osmosis. In this osmosis, one more is there. That is the reverse osmosis. What is this reverse osmosis? Reverse osmosis. Now, to stop this osmosis, it is a dilute solution and it is a concentrated solution. Flow of solvent from dilute to concentrate takes place. On this concentrated solution, we are applying pressure to stop. This side dilute solution and this side concentrated solution. So here flow of solvent from dilute to concentration, that is the osmosis. So on this concentrated solution, apply pressure to stop this osmosis. Now this pressure is a osmotic pressure. Yes or no? That is a osmotic pressure. If more pressure, more than osmotic pressure applied on concentrated solution, if excess pressure applied, more than osmotic pressure applied, then flow of solvent from concentrated solution to dilute solution takes place. Nothing but reverse, from concentrated to dilute solution. That process is a reverse osmosis. If external pressure applied is more than osmotic pressure, then flow of solvent from concentrated solution to dilute solution takes place. Now this process is a reverse osmosis. What is the application of this reverse osmosis? Applications of osmosis given that water enters from flow of water from soil to different parts of plant and flowering of plants and preservation of meat by adding salt. Okay, then bacteria loses water like that. So not that meat. Preservation of meat in the presence of salt. Otherwise, fruit juices in sugar solutions. Sugar in the presence of sugar. Preservation of fruit juices in sugar. Preservation of meat in salt. So all these are applications of osmosis. Endosmosis takes place or exosmosis. Okay. Their important is bacteria loses water in preservation of that fruit juices that given. Bacteria loses water. Then we can store long time. Okay. And what is the application of reverse osmosis given? Desalination of seawater. Desalination of seawater. D. Remove. What we are removing? Saline. Nothing but salts. We are removing salts from seawater. Seawater is one side fresh water and one side seawater. Okay, seawater is more concentrated, fresh water is more concentrated, definitely there more salts are present. This is more concentrated. Now apply pressure on this. The pressure applied is more than osmotic pressure. Then what happens? Flow of solvent from concentrated solution to dilute solution takes place. One side fresh water, one side sea water, middle semi-permeable membrane. Now on this sea water we are applying pressure. The pressure applied is more than osmotic pressure. Then what happens? Reverse osmosis. What is that reverse osmosis? Flow of solvent from concentrated to dilute. From this total water comes out. Remaining salts are left. So water comes out. What water coming out? That is the fresh water now, because in the salts not there. So we can convert the sea water to fresh water. Actual sea water is not for drinking, but we can convert into fresh water. Nothing but what we are removing? All salts. Desalination of sea water. But salts we are not removing. We are bringing out that water by reverse osmosis. Okay. So flow of solvent from concentrated to dilute. If excess pressure is applied more than osmotic pressure, then what happens? Reverse osmosis. So what is the application of reverse osmosis? Desalination of seawater. This is very important one. Desalination of seawater is the application of a not osmosis. That is the application of a reverse osmosis. Okay. This is reverse osmosis, osmotic pressure. Okay. Second colligative property. So next third one is a elevation in boiling point. Third colligative property. Third one, elevation in boiling point. Okay. So what is this elevation in boiling point? How can we calculate the gram molecular mass of unknown solute using elevation in boiling point? So first of all, what is this boiling point here? Vapor pressure versus temperature. As the temperature increases, vapor pressure increases. As the temperature increases, evaporation increases. So as the temperature increases, vapor pressure is also increases. But here one important point, as the surface area increases, evaporation rate of evaporation increases. But if vapor pressure is independent of surface area, this point is very important one. Vapor pressure is independent of surface area, but vapor pressure as the surface area increases, rate of evaporation increases. So rate of evaporation increases with an increase in surface area, and rate of evaporation increases with an increase in temperature. Vapor pressure is independent of surface area, but as the temperature increases, vapor pressure increases. So as the temperature increases, vapor pressure increases. At a particular temperature, it becomes equal to atmospheric pressure. The temperature at which vapor pressure of given component equal to atmospheric pressure, that temperature is a boiling point. For example, it is a pure solvent. This is pure solvent, vapor pressure. Pure solvent, vapor pressure. Like this. It is the boiling point of pure solvent now. It is the boiling point of pure solvent. Okay. To this solvent, any non-volatile solute is added. Now it is a solution. Now vapor pressure increases or decreases? Decreases. So vapor pressure less than this. Like this we are getting. Now the vapor pressure, the temperature at which vapor pressure becomes equal to atmospheric pressure, that is a boiling point. Now this temperature is a boiling point. Now it is the boiling point. This is the vapor pressure of solution. Now this is the boiling point of a solution. This is the boiling point of solution. So the temperature at which vapor pressure becomes equal to atmospheric pressure, that temperature is a boiling point. Now it is the boiling point of solution. What happened if any non-volatile solute is added? Its boiling point increased, boiling point increases. This difference is the elevation in boiling point. Just in question they will give here, they will give this full graph of X. What is this X? What is that X? Delta TB. That is elevation in boiling point. Nothing but how much increased. So how much increased? Delta TB is equal to formula TB minus T naught. This is less value, this is the more value. So what is T naught value? 100 degrees centigrade. They will give TB, just we have to find the delta TB. So TB minus T naught. Now, as the number of moles of that non-volatile solute increases, vapor pressure decreases. So vapor pressure decreases, that boiling point increases. Nothing but concentration of this solute increases, vapor pressure decreases, boiling point increases. So this elevation in boiling point is directly proportional to concentration. Directly proportional concentration. We are adding more solute means more elevation in boiling point. More elevation because boiling point increases. So now it is directly proportional to concentration. The concentration term here we are using, that is a molality. So in relative lowering of vapor pressure, the concentration term is mole fraction. In osmotic pressure, the concentration term is a molarity. Now here the concentration term is a molarity. So delta TB proportional to M. Delta TB is equal to Kb into M. What is this Kb? If molarity is equal to 1, then delta Tb is equal to Kb. Delta Tb is equal to Kb. So what is this Kb? It is the molar elevation constant. Molar elevation constant, or it is called ebullioscopic constant. So what is this ebullioscopic constant? The elevation in boiling point of 1 molar solution. Molarity is 1. Then elevation in boiling point equal to Kb. So define Kb. Given answer is the elevation in boiling point of 1 molar solution, that is called Kb. This Kb depends on nature of solvent. Colligative properties depends on number of solute particles. Now this one depends on nature of solvent because it's a formula Kb is equal to RTB square by 1000 LV. LV means, TB means there is a boiling point of the solvent and LV means there is a latent heat of vaporization. Instead of this, what we can take? Latent heat of vaporization means there is an enthalpy of vaporization by molecular mass. So enthalpy of vaporization by molecular mass, nothing but here. So molecular mass changes from solvent to solvent. Definitely Kb also changes. So this Kb value depends on nature of solvent. If the given is water, they will mention anyhow in problems. Better only water is the common solvent. So water Kb value 0.52 Kelvin kg per mole. So what are the units of this Kb? Kelvin kg per mole, and water Kb value 0.52. So this Kb value changes from solvent to solvent. This value only for water. What is the formula of Kb given? This is the formula. Now, so how this one we are using to calculate the molecular mass? Instead of molality, what we can take? Kb into mass by gram molecular mass into 1000 by mass of solvent. Solute means, for example, A, and solvent is a B. This is the formula. Okay. Now here gram molecular mass of unknown solute. How to calculate this one? Shift here. So how to calculate this? Gram molecular mass of solute. And delta Tb this side, delta Tb. And this is the formula, yes or no? So the formula used to calculate gram molecular mass if delta Tb, elevation in boiling point, given Kb is equal to Wa by delta Tb into 1000 by Wb. Okay, so this elevation in boiling point also used to calculate the molecular mass of unknown solute. So what is this elevation? If any non-volatile solute is added to pure solvent, its boiling point increases because its vapor pressure decreases. Vapor pressure inversely proportional to boiling point. Okay, so that increase in boiling point is called elevation, that is represented by delta Tb. Tb minus T naught. And it depends on concentration. Concentration increases, elevation in boiling point also increases. It is a colligative property. Okay, directly proportional to molality. Then this is the formula. And this Kb is important one. It is called ebullioscopic constant. It depends on nature of a solvent. And units Kelvin kg per mole. Okay, this is the third colligative property. And its application important, repeated one anyhow. Pressure cooker reduces cooking time. That is because of why it reduces cooking time? In that any non-volatile solute, not any non-volatile solute is present, so its boiling point increases, not changes, not boils easily. Boiling point increases, then not boils easily, then it cooks in less time. So pressure cooker reduces cooking time because of given answer is a elevation in boiling point. So next colligative property, that's the fourth colligative property, depression in freezing point. So what is this depression in freezing point? Depression, freezing point decreases. What is this freezing point? At a particular temperature, liquid freezes. Or here vapor pressure and temperature. Now vapor pressure, as the temperature increases, vapor pressure increases. Now temperature decreases, vapor pressure decreases. At a particular temperature, the vapor pressure of solid and liquid are equal. Now that temperature is a freezing point. Now this is the freezing point of pure solvent. Okay, freezing point of pure solvent. Any non-volatile solute is added, its vapor pressure decreases lower than this. It is a solvent. And this is solution. Vapor pressure decreases. At a particular temperature equal to vapor pressure of a solid liquid equal. Then nothing but it freezes. Now this is a freezing point of solution. It is represented by TF, freezing point of solution. What is this difference? This difference only they will give like again same type of problem. This is delta TF. What happened? Freezing power decreased, that is depression in freezing point. So what we have to understand here, if any not volatile solute is added, its freezing point decreases, its boiling point increases. So now freezing point decreased. How much decreased? Delta TF is equal to T naught minus TF, TF minus T naught. T naught is the bigger one, T naught minus TF. Okay, so this is the formula, and T naught value for water, that is the 0 degree centigrade. Okay, anyhow, number of moles of this non-volatile solute increases, concentration increases, then depression in freezing point is also increases. Colligative property directly proportional to number of particles. So now this delta TF concentration depends on concentration, directly proportional. Now here also the concentration term is the molality. Remove this proportionality, delta TF is equal to Kf into M. If M equal to 1, then delta TF is equal to Kf. What is this Kf? This Kf is called molar depression constant. That is molar elevation constant or ebullioscopic constant. Now it is a molar depression constant or cryoscopic constant. Its another name is a cryoscopic constant. What is the definition for this? The depression in freezing point of 1 molar solution. If molarity is equal to 1, the depression in freezing point is equal to cryoscopic constant. So delta TF is equal to Kf. This also depends on nature of solvent. So its formula Kf is equal to RTF square, freezing point, or fusion temperature, RTF square by 1000 LF. Latent heat of fusion, that is the latent heat of vaporization. Instead of this LF, what we can use? TF square by 1000. Enthalpy of fusion by molecular mass, nothing but into molecular mass. So solvent to solvent molecular mass changes, so this value also changes. If water is the solvent, Kf value 1.86 units Kelvin kg per mole. Water Kb value 0.52, water Kf value 1.86. So this Kf value depends on nature of solvent. So this is also used to calculate molecular mass of unknown solute. So how to calculate? Instead of this molality, substitute. Instead of molality, delta TF is equal to Kf into mass of solute by gram molecular mass of solute into 1000 by mass of solvent. Yes or no? Now A is the solute, B is the solvent. This one we should find. So shift this gram molecular mass of solute is equal to Kf into mass of solute into 1000 by here delta TF. This one shifted into gram mass of a solvent. Now using this formula we can find the gram molecular mass of solute. So all these colligative properties are used to calculate a gram molecular mass of a unknown solute. Okay, like this we should calculate. And what is the application? Application of depression in freezing point. In polar region, roads are sprinkled with NaCl or CaCl2. Roads are sprinkled with NaCl or CaCl2. What happens in polar region during winter season, especially winter season? Then here roads are covered with ice. So to convert that into water, liquid, nothing but we have to decrease the freezing point. That water should not changes to ice. So if the freezing point decreased, ice will not form, that in water state, liquid state. So for that what we should add? Any non-volatile solute. Any solute we should add. So what we are using solute? Cheap and best, that is the sodium chloride. Then in car radiators we are adding little amount of ethylene glycol because given the reason for that depression in freezing point. To decrease the freezing point of that water present in car radiators, we are adding little amount of ethylene glycol. So this is also application of depression in freezing point. So next, how they will ask questions related to this. Anyhow, problems they will ask, and general theoretical questions like, for example, NaCl, MgCl2, AlCl3, K4FeCl6 given. This type of questions are very important. The following has a high vapor pressure like this given. Vapor pressure, number of non-volatile solute particles increases, vapor pressure decreases. So number of non-volatile solute particles are more, its vapor pressure is less. Which one has high vapor pressure given? Now first, how many particles are present? Here number of particles 2, Na plus Cl minus. Here Mg plus 2, 2Cl minus, 3 particles. 4 particles, 5 particles. Number of particles increase. All 4 options, number of particles are increased. These are the 4 options given. Okay. So question is, the following has highest vapor pressure. Where number of particles are less, its vapor pressure is more. Because lowering of vapor pressure takes place. So vapor pressure is inversely proportional to number of particles. Okay. So answer is first option. Which one has high vapor pressure given? Next, the following has high freezing point given. Now freezing point, depression in freezing point. In that name only there we can identify easily. Depression. If any number of moles of number of non-volatile solute particles increases, its freezing point decreases. Depression in freezing point. Number of particles increases, freezing point decreases. So highest freezing point given. Then nothing but this is highest. So freezing point inversely proportional to number of particles. Where less number of particles, their freezing point is high. Okay. Highest boiling point given. Boiling point, what happens? Elevation in boiling point. Nothing but if number of the solute particles increases, boiling point also increases. Number of particles increases, boiling point increases. So highest boiling point, then answer is this fourth option. So boiling point is directly proportional to number of particles. Okay. And osmotic pressure highest. Osmotic pressure or lowering of vapor pressure, relative lowering of vapor pressure, or depression in freezing point, or elevation in boiling point. Like this, any question given, all these are colligative properties. All colligative properties are directly proportional to number of particles. Question carefully we have to observe. The question is, the following has highest freezing point or highest depression in freezing point. Depression in freezing point is colligative property. Freezing point is not colligative property. So question is highest freezing point or highest depression in freezing point. Highest vapor pressure, highest relative lowering of vapor pressure, what they are asking, check. Because here inversely proportional, here directly proportional. If question related to this, the following has highest boiling point or highest elevation in boiling point. Here we confuse them, no problem, because both directly proportional to number of particles only. Okay, but here carefully we should observe the question is just freezing point or depression in freezing point. All colligative properties directly proportional to number of particles. Nothing but answer this fourth only. K4FeCl6. This type of questions are very important. Along with these problems, how to solve, how to calculate gram molecular mass of unknown solute if delta Tb, delta Tf, osmotic pressure or relative lowering of vapor pressure given, or delta Tb given, how to find the relative lowering of vapor pressure. Nothing but what is the relation between all these. In next video we are going to learn. Okay, so next video, abnormal molecular mass, what is that Van Hoff factor, and some problems based on these. Okay, thank you.